The government has also added one major new power, the requirement for every person's internet browsing history to be recorded for a year. But the central dilemma is this: how much power should security services and police forces have to look at our most private communications?
Make no mistake, the people who will be taking advantage of our new regulated internet, in which internet service providers who post harmful content risk being fined up to 10% of their annual global turnover. The people taking advantage of that and forcing social media companies to take down supposedly harmful content will be political activists claiming to be acting on behalf of vulnerable people. It'll be because they want to protect vulnerable people, they'll have to remove hate speech and misinformation, by which they mean anything they find remotely disagreeable or that poses them any kind of political challenge.
Where the security services are able to stop terrorist attacks in the UK, then that's a good thing.
Nowadays, most communication is online. There is a vast amount of information, and it's collected and analysed at stations like this in GCHQ Bude in Cornwall. Surveillance laws haven't kept up with technology. The Home Secretary has introduced the Investigatory Powers Bill, or, if you prefer, the Snoopers Charter, to bring a mess of existing surveillance powers into one comprehensive piece of legislation.
Today we are setting out a modern legal framework which brings together current powers in a clear and comprehensible way. A new bill that provides some of the strongest protections and safeguards anywhere in the democratic world.
But the concept they're advancing to ensure that, this one of legal but harmful, is very strange. It'll be legal for me to say something to you in the front parlour of your house, but it won't be legal for me to post that on the internet.
That's right. What you can legally type, you won't be able to say online. This concept of legal but harmful content is, as you say, extremely worrying. So it won't be enough to comply with the new rules for social media companies to remove unlawful content. The thing which is really alarming about this bill is that it will force social media companies to remove what the government is calling legal but harmful content. Now, we don't know what the legal but harmful content is going to be, because that's going to be brought forward not in this bill, but in supplementary legislation, in a statutory instrument brought forward by Nadine Dorries, the Secretary of State at the Department for Culture, Media and Sport. Now, even if you trust Nadine Dorries not to be too censorious in what she's asking social media companies, what legal content she's asking them to remove on pain of being fined 10% of their annual global turnover, which incidentally is more than $10 billion if you're Facebook. Even if we trust Nadine not to be too over the top, the bill creates a mechanism for future secretaries of state to define this legal but harmful content. Legal but harmful to adults, that social media companies will be under this enormous pressure to remove.
The telegraph, when it was invented, quickly became subject to surveillance by the British government. When telephones were invented, they were tapped. Now, there are 1 billion smartphones in the world. Facebook has 1.5 billion users. That incessant online activity is a potential goldmine for intelligence services, but it's also a danger. Today's young adults have grown up in the digital age, and they spend more of their lives online.
This new legislation will underpin the work of law enforcement and the security and intelligence agencies for years to come. It is their licence to operate, with the democratic approval of Parliament, to protect our national security and the public's safety.
If I send a text message, the authorities can see what time I sent that message, where I was, and that I sent it to you. That's done through communications data, also known as metadata, and doesn't require a warrant.
These laws are going to have access to. I don't think that's right.
This is essentially a blanket surveillance operation. There is no sort of target in this per se. It's everyone's data and everyone's metadata, regardless of who they are and whether they've lived a perfectly innocent life for the past few years.
I guarantee that surveillance has been used in all the prevention of all the 6 attacks I think the Home Secretary and the head of the security services has said. I guarantee that using technical surveillance will have been involved in those.
Authorities will be able to tell which sites I've looked at, which apps I've used, all without a warrant.
By the First World War, they had dictaphones which they could stick behind curtains and record conversations. By the 1950s, you had rooms, huge big rooms full of computers doing the encryption and decryption. Surveillance is here to stay, that's for sure. We've lost our privacy. It will never return.
We live our lives online. Your browsing history is a record of your life. And under the new laws, that record is open to police and security services.
It is an additional kind of intrusion, I suppose, into people's private lives.
This takes away liberty and makes security the big brother, in a sense.
The fact that it's been confirmed that our communications were intercepted, they were held, they were stored, that's a matter of huge concern. The bigger concern is that we have absolutely no idea what was stored, what was intercepted by the government, what did they do with it, who did they send it to, and are they still doing it?
This is where that monitoring happens, at the Donut, GCHQ's headquarters in Cheltenham. Billions of data points are analysed each day.
Indiscriminate mass surveillance is a real concern. It's a violation of people's right to privacy. It has massive repercussions for other rights of association and of assembly. And this new bill has the potential of continuing mass indiscriminate surveillance.